All right, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Rekt Mkts Daily. Let me just ping these links into the chats that I have. You can also watch these streams on the Rekt Mkts websites as well. So, gonna be either if you want to go back through a history of the daily streams, they're all on the website. Let me just stick that in here now. Volume 2. And that's live now. There we go. All right, sweet. Well, another day in the markets, huh? So I think where do we start? Let's talk about Rekt Mkts Pro first. Honestly, I didn't expect. Oh, actually, first, let's crack open one of these. Start the day with some Rekt energy. I have to say I'm a big fan of watermelon as a flavor. I think that's my thing. I didn't realize it until we made these drinks, but I'm a big fan of that. Right, Rekt Mkts Pro. Cheers to everyone who signed up. Honestly, I didn't really expect it to sell out in a day. I don't think that was really the plan for us. It was more like, hey, here's the introductory offer. Let's get people involved, get people using it, try and grow this thing and use that feedback to improve it. And then, eventually we'll have like a fully up and running product. So really, really good response, I think, to see it sell out. So for those of you who've subscribed, first of all, thank you. Second of all, the timeline is after 14 days, the Rekt that you will get gets input into a vesting contract, and it will be the ETH address that you supplied when you signed up. If you need to change it, you can just message Sasha in the WAP support system, and then we can get that changed for you if you need to change it. So make sure you let us know before the 30th of July, so we have enough time to change those over. But once that's done, the Rekt gets uploaded to a vesting contract. You'll be able to then see like your monthly vests of Rekt from then on, basically. So it will get done in about 14 days, but we'll keep you guys posted on that. You should have got a welcome email from Rekt Mkts. I think some people may have missed that email because I got sent to spam for a couple of people. So definitely check your spam. That has information on the wallet you provided. It also has your discount code for 50% off on the Rekt store. And there's some other information in there too, in terms of joining the Discord and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you check your spam if you didn't receive. I think you received 2 emails, one from WAP and then one from us, basically. So check the spam box if you didn't receive what you were expecting to receive. And that's that. So then I'm gonna focus on improving the site, the platform, improving the community aspect of things a bit, and get this thing going. So we have a good operation running for for what I think is going to be an interesting period in crypto for the next few weeks and hopefully months. This is, like I said yesterday, like I said on the tweet I put out earlier, I just think this is the best time to lock in, really. Like, I posted 2023 earlier today. It feels like the reason why it feels like 2023 to me was because in 2023 you saw some stuff start to run while Bitcoin didn't really move, and that's kind of where we've been right now. It's like Bitcoin's been between that range has gotten narrower and narrower. It's sort of been between 62 and 63k for a while. Now we're back up to 66, I guess. But it hasn't really moved that much, and you've now seen runners stuff move to hundreds of mil in the past 2 weeks alone, I guess, or 3 weeks alone. So that to me is a sign that there is some capital returning into the space, and I think you just got to stay involved. I think you have to stay involved. So what I want to do, one thing is for Rekt Mkts, if anyone has any feedback or comments or features that you want to see, please ping me in the Discord. You're welcome to bring up points and questions and comments on these streams as well, and we can run through them. But please let me know, and we'll try and ship those improvements as fast as we can. We've started to add some more features, which will be rolling out over the next few days, etc. So the idea is to kind of, if you're a pro founding member, is to use your feedback and to create something that you would actually find useful, and then build stuff around that. So that's that. Let's talk about markets and talk about trades, and that's kind of what I want to focus on really on these streams. I guess like the whole point of this is to talk about stuff that I'm doing, and give you guys an insight into my thought process on stuff. I think you got to look at the markets as three separate things right now. Stocks, TradFi is one thing. Crypto is really its own thing at the moment. I think it's really its own thing. And then you have an NFT market, which is low key actually being active. I think there's been money to be made there. Not huge amounts of money, and there's not a huge amount of activity, but I think from what I see, there's people who've been doing quite well there. So I think these are three, to me, these markets feel like three separate things trading independently from each other, you know, in big global risk. Can you not RT this space? You should be able to retweet this. Maybe I need to post maybe the reason why we don't have that many viewers is because I didn't post yeah, you know what? I haven't even posted it on my main account. That is dumb. Let me do that now. Rekt Mkts vol 002. There we go. There's basically a broadcast link. I think you can post that broadcast link. So hopefully that post I sent out shows it. I don't know if it does or not. Yeah, it does. Okay, sweet. Here, let me put the link in here to 2160 if you want to. If you guys, oopsie daisy, that's not me. If you guys, oh yeah, that's the link. Thank you. If you guys post post that link that this person's posted, then you should be able to get everything on there. So what was I saying? Yeah, so I think you need to view these as like three separate markets. So they all kind of trade independently of each other. They're all in big global risk rallies. You have all these things move together on lockstep, but we just haven't really seen that this year. Obviously, this year you've had stocks move up by themselves like crazy, especially in the AI stuff. You have crypto stuck in the mud, actually down the year, and then NFTs, which granted had a very low base, have actually, I think, done okay. So I don't have anything in NFTs really. I think I'm more focused on crypto and stocks. I think I'm much more heavily weighted towards stocks than crypto right now. I don't have any stocks, but I think that's the way I'm viewing them, and I'm viewing those two separate things. So on the crypto side, it's tough to find. I've found it really tough to find much opportunity this year. Like I haven't really been involved in like NEAR and VVV and that kind of stuff, and I haven't really gotten involved in any of the meme coins and Solana. I think all that stuff is very, very tough to get going. So the thing that I found interesting really has been the Robinhood space. Like there isn't anything I've seen personally like this year or probably in the last like 2 years that has been that as interesting as that. And I think people who are bearish on it have been jaded, or what's the best way to put it? Like, they've just lost a lot of money on stuff in general, I think. And that it creates recency bias. It means you're so tired of like losing money on various different things that when a new thing comes along that's actually good, you just feel like you want to fade it because you basically don't want to get involved with it. So I think that's the main thing that has caused people to actually fade Robinhood chain when it came. Now Robinhood is massive, right? There's like 30 million users. They have a CEO who I think is very very retail focused, he understands memes, right? He understands why Robinhood was successful. He understands why Robinhood was successful through the like GameStop era, through the retail era. So you can see from his posts, like he also understands the whole like memetics of the market. Like they say they've built this thing for RWAs. Obviously, it's meme coins that start to take off on that platform. And then suddenly he's like, oh yeah, like, you know, this is also good for memes. And then he's posting all these different tweets. So I think with that, I do like going all in on it. I think is not the right way to look at it. I think you have to still treat the space with caution. That's how I feel. That's why maybe some of my positions in it aren't as big as like historically as they have been. But it is one of those things where, let's say in 4 weeks' time, the entire Robinhood ecosystem goes a lot higher. Let's say the main biggest coin on it is like a $500 million market cap. And then let's say there's a few different coins on it that are hundreds of millions of dollars market cap. That will result in, you know, a 20x, 50x, maybe even a 100x for many people who bought those coins. And I think you would absolutely kick yourself if that happened. If in a month's time you were sitting here and all that stuff was at crazy high levels, and you were like, man, I went through a few days or a couple of weeks of just seeing stuff on Robinhood and not touching it, you would absolutely kick yourself and be like, fuck it, that actually seems so obvious in hindsight. And I think that's the way I look at it, because I haven't really traded any of this stuff for a long time. I feel like I have a fresh set of eyes on it, which is not as negative as some other people may feel. And that's allowed me to basically come in and be like, okay, cool. You know, let's take a chance here, because this stuff could have a narrative that will work. So there's, you know, it's, in saying that, I don't think the right move is let's fucking just go out there and buy a shitload of coins on meme coins, because there's, you know, already there's like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of meme coins on it that's coming through the launch pads. And, you know, it's just like fucking, it's going to be the same shit again, right? People are going to be bundling supply, pumping them, dumping them, rugging them. It's going to be really hard for any of that stuff to catch a good narrative. But I think every chain has its main horse. It has its main runner that people flock to when they're trying to get some risk in that chain. And you had, for ETH, you had SHIB back in the day. For Solana, you had WIF and Bonk. Base, you had Brett went to $2 billion, whatever it is, right? Even on ETH, you had SPX go to $2 billion. Like, you had, every chain has its coin that that sort of leads everything else. And for me, that feels like it's probably CASHCAT, because it's the one that's done the most volume. It's the one that's reached the highest market cap already. It's the one that was followed by Vlad. It's the one that the CFO has in his bio. At all these different points to it, and I think it's definitely, it's still the highest market cap of any meme coin by a long margin there. But, you know, imagine if someone said to you, "Oh, you can now buy WIF, which is going to be the main runner on Solana, for $70 million market cap," or hey, you can now buy I don't know, the base runner that's going to be the main runner on that for 70 million market cap. Like, if we hadn't had this 2-year bear market, and if people hadn't just gotten absolutely decimated in the trenches, and you were a trader, you would absolutely bite their hand off on doing that, right? You'd actually bite that hand off on that trade and go for it. And it's not like, okay, it's 100% chance you'll make money, but it's a very good bet to take. And that's what I think this is. Like, I think eventually these coins are doing enough volume, I think, to potentially get listings. One thing to note is I think gas is sponsored on Robinhood right now, so and that ends in September. So they're doing much more volume than coins typically would. But there's that, and you have all the tailwind of Vlad posting about stuff, etc. It just feels like to me it's a bet that is worth taking. And I think for me, I'd rather take this bet and lose money on it than be here a month later and think, fuck, like, I should have bought. And you can see stuff, like stuff is very slow. In a bull market, things get priced in and move quickly. You don't even have time to catch trades because stuff just rips. And actually I don't think I'm good at trading in those environments because I never have the patience or the ability to do that stuff basically in bull markets. But in bear markets, stuff takes a lot of time to reprice. People are slow to act, slow to react because they just don't think something is valuable or has the ability to run and whatnot. So a good example of that is PONS, which is one of the marketplaces. I guess I can pull some charts up here. Let me do that. Let's see. Where is OBS? Yeah, so this is PONS, which is a marketplace. There was another marketplace called Noxa, which I think rugged or something. I don't really know what happened with them. They made like a few million in fees and then just like disappeared. But there was a really good post. This guy, Average Joe's Crypto, put a really good post on this the other day. Let's see if I can find the original one. Yeah, this is the original one, 17th of July. And I actually ended up buying it off this tweet alone. And on this day, I think the market cap of it was tiny. It was 7 million, 8 million or something like that. He's talking about it here at $3 million. It's now a $30 million market cap, so it's done a 10x. It's done a 10x in 4 days, which is crazy. So, but it's taken in that entire time, in that entire 4 days, like you've had moments where you can buy it. You've had moments where you can buy a lot of it. And even when I bought like 20K of it, I think 4 days ago, I think it was about 7 or 8 million. I think it was $8 million market cap when I bought it. And the thing I bought 20K of it. And I was just like, I kind of stopped at 20K because I was like, fuck, like I'm just buying this thing. It's not really moving in price. And then I think after I bought it, it went down 20%. And I was just like, yeah, this kind of like, maybe I'm wrong on this one. And I stopped there. Obviously, I wish I bought more now. But I think it goes to show that if you have a good thesis or a trade that makes sense in terms of numbers, like this guy did, in terms of actual valuation, then you can actually get involved, and you can actually have time to get into your position and have time to put the risk on and have time to scale in and not have to FOMO and panic like you usually do in bull markets. And then, lo and behold, 4 days later, I think I'm up 5x from that trade, and some people are up 10x, and this guy's up 10x, and people are up even more than that. So the point I'm trying to make is I reckon there's going to be a lot more opportunities like that, where there is stuff that's mispriced. And with Robinhood, you're going to get more than just memes, I think. I know everyone wants to be involved in memes, but you will get more than just memes. If there's a big RWA push, but I think there's a lot more potentially there that we can get involved in. But we just have to find them. We have to screen for them. We have to get a smart way to find them. But this is the time to do it. I think this is the time to get locked in and be early and do stuff that you don't usually have the chance to do in bull markets. I think that's the way I basically view it. So I don't know. Like, I don't know how you guys feel. So I just got to respond to this message. I don't know how you guys feel um, on Robinhood, and I think there's probably a lot of PTSD on it. On just new chain. Yeah, obviously, like if you compare it to the other new chains, you had like Monad, and you had like Mega ETH, and you had Blast was a disaster for people, including myself. So I think it's just like, okay, what's another L2 going to do? But the difference is it's Robinhood, right? Robinhood is massive, and you don't need. People are maybe skeptical on 30 million users coming onto Robinhood. My view is, yeah, you're obviously not going to. Sorry, 30 million users coming to crypto. My view is you're not going to. Just reading this note. Worth noting, the X posts and the emails you sent out do not take you to the X post on the X app itself. At least not for me. I'll check that. Thanks for raising that, Tom. On the what was I saying? Yeah, you don't actually need 20% of people, of 30 million people coming on to trade crypto, and I'm skeptical we see any of that. But it's a narrative that is powerful enough to get other people in. You see what I mean? Like sometimes it's all just about the narrative. It's more about the narrative than what actually happens in reality. And it's one of those things. Like if everything is a lot higher on that in that ecosystem, then next thing you know, it's going to be people are going to be like, oh yeah, this all makes sense as Robinhood, of course. Like, oh yeah, I have all these 30 million users. Oh yeah, they have all these retail people and they have all these like meme stocks, etc. This makes complete sense. It's just like how art looks better at higher prices. The tech looks better at higher prices, etc. So I think I'm going to be spending a lot of time on that, trying to find other opportunities. I'm sure I would be surprised. I'd be highly surprised if between now and, I don't know, the end of summer, there isn't another coin that maybe exists right now, maybe doesn't exist, that goes on to do 100x or Robinhood, right? Like these opportunities exist, and there's going to be more and more of them. And you never know if that like their team starts backing some of this stuff behind the scenes. I'm sure that's happened in the past for various chains and ecosystems. You never really know what happens. So I think some of the non-meme coins, where they try to push an RWA angle, etc., they're not really that exciting. Like it's just there's nothing that I've seen that's like, okay, wow, that's really fucking smart. It's just sort of like novel uses of the fact that you have stocks on chain. But that will change. It's like someone's going to come up with a fucking amazing idea, and then it's suddenly going to like run to 100 million in the space of a few days or a space of a few weeks. And that's the stuff that I think we have to be on the lookout for, and that's what I'm going to be focused on. So I'm going to try and build. Well, I've started building a screener for this stuff, because there aren't millions of coins on there like Solana. It's actually quite nice to be able to get that filter and data set down to a small population. And I'll post for you guys who subscribe to Pro, I'll post the outputs that I get from that. I'll post it in that. We have this Robinhood Discord channel. So what I've started putting in there is the daily fees on PONS, which I'm quite focused on. And I think that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on, to see how much that increases, because this is one where you can actually just price it off numbers, right? And the argument is that the multiple right now is too low versus something like Pump Fund, probably true. But if these numbers, for example, if these yesterday it did the last few days it's done 6.5 million in volume, 6.3 million, 6.5, 7.6. It's done generated about 60 to 70k in fees, and then today it's quite a big jump up. Today it's done $13.5 million in volume so far, and this is as of 2 hours ago, so it's probably higher now, and 120k of fees. So it's quite a big jump in volume and fees between yesterday and today. It's gone from having like a flat to negative growth rate to it will have a big growth rate today, like over 100% growth. And then if that growth is 100% again or 200% again, then if tomorrow, the day after, it's the same, then you're like, okay, shit, this thing is really moving in a very parabolic fashion, and that can reprice the coin from 30 to 100 or wherever it can be, and then you have to figure out when you want to sell and be disciplined about it. But these are the kind of numbers I'm looking at, which I think right now you can have an edge on because people aren't pricing this stuff in. I don't think they definitely weren't a few days ago, and now they're slowly starting to. But there's going to be other coins and other opportunities like that where I think you can actually mid curve it, I guess is the way to put it. Like run calculations, run numbers, and be like, hey, this thing is mispriced based on what it is. So that's the thought process for that. I'm going to spend a few more days looking at that. I'm trying really hard not to just gamble on random coins, like just like you guys, like people will just send random coins every day and be like, hey, this contract address, this thing's at $1 million, and then you don't touch it, then suddenly it gaps to 3 and like, oh, I could have 3x'd it, but you realize there's not enough liquidity to monetize. Like I just don't want to touch any of that stuff. I've zero interest in touching that stuff. I have to just really be. I did. If you look through that wallet, I have dabbled in some of that stuff, and every time I was like, "Fuck, why did I do that?" It's just stupid and a waste of time. So I'm definitely trying to avoid all of that stuff. Basically, just stick to things that are interesting that you can have a high confidence interval on, and then that I can size into, and then have a catalyst or a reason to be able to actually trade out of it too. But at some point, my expectation is we start seeing centralized exchange listings for these coins. I think one of them's on KuCoin. I think CASHCAT is on KuCoin. KuCoin is obviously not quite tier 1, but if these volume numbers keep going, you have to think exchanges want to get a piece of that action, I think, and eventually we'll start to see it, and that's when I think you start to get more and more people involved as well. So I just think I think of everything in crypto, that's the thing to focus on right now. And because of how low the market caps are of coins on it, it's going to be super easy because of how low the market caps of the coins are on it, you don't have to put in that much money to make a lot of money, which is good. Someone asked, did I see the Pump Fun update? I did not see the Pump Fun update. Are they going into Robinhood as well? Let's have a look. My X is just absolutely fried. I don't know why. So Pump Fun, something called Boost Mode. So it sounds like there's future liquidity that's going into coins that graduate via buybacks and burns. Could be interesting. I'll have a look. I'll have a look into it a bit more, but I don't have any interest really in that ecosystem. I mean, Solana's great. We all got involved in it deeply 2 years ago. People made a lot of money on it, and we have a collaboration with Solana. It's great, but I just and some of the AI stuff on there is actually very interesting, but I just don't really want to fuck around with meme coins and Solana. Let me put it that way. I have no interest in doing that. That's it really on the crypto side for me. So the main thing for me is I'm gonna probably keep holding on to CASHCAT and PONS here. At some point, it's getting to levels where I think I want to take some profits. I think the mistake I've made in the last 2 months of trading is not taking enough profits. CASHCAT I bought at 90 and I held all the way up to 250, and then I held all the way back down to 90. Didn't take anything off. So I think you have to. It's still a market where you need to be taking profits, and I think you need to have capital dry, both in crypto and both in stocks as well, just to jump on opportunities. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're all in on everything, and then if you were there 4 days ago and you saw that that PONS post and you wanted to get involved, and you're like, fuck, I have to sell something to buy it. And it's clear that's where everyone is right now, because every time something rallies, something else sells off. It's just rotation of capital. But that's good. In a way, the people say that's really bad, which is fine. It is really bad. I don't disagree, but it also tells you that you're early. It tells you that a lot of that external capital hasn't come in. So there is that potential for that exit liquidity to come at some point if more people come in. I guess that's like a nicer way to view it. Stocks. I'm for the first time since starting this, I'm flat stocks completely. Like I own 0 stocks, all in cash. I sold the rest of. I had memory stocks, which I did really well on to begin with. I just did really well on trading options into events and that stuff, and made some good money on it. And I just threw it all away, and not sticking to stop losses, and maybe getting a bit too bullish on it. I'm never bearish on anything. As you guys know, I'm always bullish, but it's the first time I've felt like it's better to stay flat on equities. There's 2 or 3 things there, and I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong, and it's not like I'm shorting stocks here, but August, September especially seasonally is obviously a very bearish month. Rates have been creeping higher. Rates have been creeping a decent amount higher for the last few days and weeks, and that doesn't really usually concern me because, look, in the last 4 years, rates have absolutely ripped and stocks have absolutely ripped, right? So it's not like you need to have low rates for stocks to rally. But I'm just a little bit concerned of the last 2 FOMCs for me were, I think, a bit more hawkish than I would have liked. I also think so we have one more FOMC next week before they break for the summer, and I think Walsh is sort of trying to prove independence and that he's not just controlled and managed by Trump. So it's almost like any reason he has to raise rates or to be a little bit more hawkish, he'll take the opportunity. Now, inflation data has been good. And have come lower. We had a dip in oil, now it's back up. But there's not, it's just, with everything that's happened, the massive rally in various stocks, and I guess the stickiness of inflation is the best way to put it. 1 or 2 months of data coming down is not enough. I'm just concerned that we see something from the Fed that the markets don't really like, and especially on something like memory stocks. I'm the most bullish person on AI there is, but I think the market's got to a point where it's sort of like the memory stocks have been a proxy for the AI trade. It's like, okay, if the AI usage goes up, the demand for memory goes up, and these stocks will go up, and that's been correct. I actually think it will still be correct over the coming months and years. But the other thing you have to consider is, like, stocks price in future expectations, and then at some point these guys will increase supply a lot. And how do you judge the demand supply imbalance? 2027 for memory guys is like going to be another insane year, but it's almost like the market's not even pricing that in. It's pricing in 2028. And I think you have to think, I don't know, I'm not a tech person. I'm not an expert on microchips and memory and semiconductors and all that kind of stuff. But you have to think that, generally speaking, technology moves in a direction where bottlenecks like that get solved through technological advances, or what they call memory breakthroughs. And it's just like, we had this sell-off in memory because there were some rumors of it, and then we've bounced back in the last couple of days. But that would be a really big thorn for those guys if something like that came to fruition. So my feeling is, I just feel a bit cautious on the equities overall. I feel a bit cautious on the memory stocks, not to a point where I want to short them, but to a point where I just want to stay flat, I think. And if we see a meaningful decline, there's some big earnings coming up. Intel, not a memory name, but they report this week. You have SK Hynix reports next week, which is one of the big three in terms of the memory oligopolies, and it's just like that's a massive vol event. Like, I don't know. You could go into it long because you could say it's all, it's down 40% off the highs, almost 50% off the highs, and maybe all the negativity of it is priced in. But you saw Micron report like insane earnings, and not only did they have insane earnings, the guidance for next year was way higher than expectations, and not only that, but they announced long-term agreements, which is basically everything you would think the market wanted to see, and it was still skeptical of that, and we still sold off of that. So I just, in my head, I'm just like, what does earnings need to look like for these stocks to rally a lot? I don't really, and for people to not have the same fears they have now, which is stuff like memory breakthroughs. It is stuff like China getting more market share. Like, I don't know, those things don't change. Those fears don't change if you have a good earnings print, right? And earnings prints are obviously the quarter just gone. They'll provide guidance, but the guidance will be the next 12 months ahead. And it just feels like to me stuff's being priced in for 2 years ahead, not 12 months ahead. So I don't know what they can do I don't know what they would report for the stock to rally a lot. Now, if they have a miss, it will get absolutely nuked, right? Because everyone's going to be like, fuck, I'm worried about all these things, China, memory breakthroughs, etc., etc. And now these guys have bad numbers and they're below expectations, or the guidance is not as high as I thought it'd be. Like, you're fucking, and these stocks are all up, whatever it is, like 700, 800% in the last 12 months. Then you're like, fuck, I'm out. I'm going to take the money and leave, right? And so it feels like to me the downside risk of bad earnings is much bigger than the upside risk. And plus, on top of that, we're in this moment of, we have the FOMC and right in the middle of summer, going to September, it's all these things, and we're sitting here with stocks basically at all-time highs, volatility completely sapped out of the S&P 500 despite what's going on in these names. It just feels like to me it's a good time to be cautious, and I think what I probably will do is like, sell puts on some of these names that I do want to buy at levels, if they ever get there. If not, then I'll just generate yield in that cash. But it just, I don't know, obviously thoughts always change around a lot, and I will just gamble some stuff into earnings, and I've kind of been fucking around with options in the last 2 months, and that's where I've actually made most of the P&L. I've lost P&L just holding spot. So I think with options and the volatility, it forces me to be a bit more disciplined in terms of putting risk on and taking risk off. And I probably will do more of that. So that's the goal. I think it's like chill on equities, look at some spots to generate yield over the next few days and weeks over summer. Definitely a buyer of any meaningful dips. Don't feel the need to go short. I considered doing put spreads maybe on the S&P 500 with like end of September maturity, but even that just feels like maybe it's a waste of cash. And anyway, I'm all in cash now anyway. So that's maybe I might do something on Intel. I like Intel because it just has this Trump tailwind, and I think you can't fade that. I'm not a believer of nepotism, but you can very clearly see how some certain US stocks perform much better than others, right? And so that's. But again, even with Intel, like what numbers do they have to report for people to get super super excited? It's all these narratives that are overhanging right now, which were really strong narratives, and then now have some negative factors to them which don't get resolved. Now, if you had a headline which is like, I don't know. Actually, I was trying to think. Can there be a headline that can exist which says it's going to be very difficult for a memory breakthrough to happen in the next 2 years? And then I'm thinking, well, fuck, I've already read articles that say that, and people don't really know. I think there are very few actual experts on this stuff, and these aren't the guys who are trading stocks. The guys who are trading stocks, even at investment banks and even like investment bank research, you compare these research reports to like what some of the other guys, some of the like actual semiconductor experts write, or engineers write, and it's crazy. It's like a complete mile off. So yeah, I don't know what I don't know what it would take to get these things back to all-time highs from these levels in this market. But if they dropped another 20% or 30%, then I think that's a really, really good spot to buy. And I think other people would add, because then they actually look extremely, extremely cheap based off what earnings they're going to have in the next 2 years. And I'm sure, there's talks of Micron doing stock buybacks, etc. I'm sure we'll see a lot of that too. So I think that's the play for stocks right now. But I'll keep you guys posted with my updated thoughts and stuff. And obviously you guys can, the pro members, you can see all the trades that I do when I do them. I'll just go through some questions here while I have them. Thoughts on Eli Lilly? Mando really likes Eli Lilly. I haven't looked at it deeply myself to have a strong view on it. The thing with equities is it's like, you may really like a company, or you may understand what a company does, or you may understand the growth story, but it's never really about that. It's about what's priced in and what isn't priced in. That's actually the same for any asset. It's like what's priced in and what isn't priced in by the market right now. And one of the reasons why maybe like I didn't lost a bit of money on the memory stuff on that way down is because like everything was priced in, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm so bullish on this stuff, it's gonna go crazy, and I'm not wrong in that, but it's priced in, and then it sells off, and people are like, oh, okay, and maybe it's still priced in. So I don't know. Like the point I'm trying to make is I don't have a good handle on Eli Lilly to know whether the bullish arguments for it are already priced in, or whether they're not, basically. So is something I need to look at and do a bit more research on. But I'm probably going to stick to memory and AI stuff, maybe some of the Mag 7 stuff. I just think there's just incredible volatility there. Shit's moving around. The $1 trillion stocks moving around like 10%, 15% on a daily basis in some cases. And that's a really good trading environment. And also means they're liquid. You can buy swing around like whatever it is, like 500k, 600k of Micron, and you get incredible liquidity and fills. You can't do that in crypto. You can't for that much. So, I mean, obviously you kind of majors, but like in other stuff, it's very difficult to do that. I'm thinking about, okay, I own, what's my PONS position is almost 92k right now. It's like if I wanted to exit all of that right now, that would impact the market, and it's not even a big position in the context of overall markets, right? And you have to think very differently about exit strategies there. So it's mental in stocks where you can just do massive size, and it's so liquid, and massive size in spot, massive size in options. So I think it's going to be a very good. My plan really over the next few weeks is not to get like too long on stocks, stay relatively nimble, and then if you have massive repricings or interesting opportunities and options, then I'm going to try and capture those short-term profits, keep the cash, and move on to the next thing. So this is but typically my trading style has generally been like, let me find names that I really like and hold them for many months, and that's how I've made the most money. And I have other positions where I do that, but I think for this book I want to be a bit more active in trading it. And the mistake I've made in the last 2 months is I've just pissed away like 300 to 400k, well, probably almost 500k worth of trading P&L from just holding positions, when I could have just like took the money, got flat, and then that's not a bad. That would be like a 33% return on that capital in 2 months. Like, that's pretty good. And if you keep doing that every month, that compounds. So I think I need to just get back to doing that and staying nimble and not just losing money on marks. It's funny that I say that, because back when I used to work at Barclays, it was the same thing. Like, I'd make loads of money on new business P&L and doing good trades, and then I wouldn't pay attention to like existing risk, and then I would end up losing money on marking that stuff against myself. And then the year I made the most money was when I just kept like a really nimble book where I didn't have massive positions. I wasn't in anything too liquid, generally had like quite a tight book that I managed every single day. And then it didn't cost me too much on on marks, and then the actual new business P&L generated from trading, I retained most of it. It's all about P&L retention. I think that's a mistake most traders make, is P&L retention. And I think many people at the retail level just go out there and they're trading like, you have 10K and you're just going all into a stock, then you're going all into the next stock, then all into the next one. When you make money, you got to take money out as well. You have to retain it, keep some in cash. Maybe set a rule for yourself where it's like every 50% of I thought about doing this. Do I put 50% of gains in cash every single time just to make sure it's retained? But obviously greed gets the better of you, right? And you're always thinking about how you can compound it and grow it and make it bigger. But this is definitely a market where I think you want to take profits still. I think there are amazing opportunities to make large amounts of profits, but when something goes 100x, it's not going to be there for long. You have to really be good at taking profits, I think. So that's something to be cognizant of, I think. I don't really have anything else to add for today, so I'm going to call it there, unless anyone has questions and stuff. But hopefully we can chat about some more interesting stuff tomorrow with the research that comes through today. So I think we can call it a day there. But I had one more thing that I was going to say. Oh yeah, so with the Rekt buybacks, so we've taken in Pro sold out. It takes a few days, I think, for WAP to process those funds, and because it's our first bit of income with them, I think we have to go through some KYB stuff, and then once that's done and we get the funds to Rekt Brands, we'll then deploy it into buybacks, and once the buybacks are complete, we'll put out a post saying how much we bought back. But I think it's going to be, doesn't take much to move the price of Rekt, and I think it's going to be a decent bid for the market when we start doing that. So we'll keep you guys posted, but it's going to take a few days for us to actually get the funds in order to do that. But I know some of you guys asked questions about that. So cool. Right, I'm going to call it a day there. Cheers everyone for tuning in. Let me see if I can end the stream, and I'll chat with you guys again tomorrow. Cheers.